Chris Carter's on the Fan Hotline. He's in Ireland. Chris, good morning. How are you? How are things going?
I'm all right, Dorin. How you doing back in Pittsburgh?
We're doing pretty good. It's a little foggy out. It's a little rainy. It's a little nasty, but the weather's going to clear up maybe for the weekend for the Pitt game, so I'm happy about that. What's the atmosphere like there? What's the vibe like? We've talked to Jason Mackey, we've talked to Adam Crowley already, and they've talked about the vibe and the experience. What's your experience been like there in Ireland? How many black people have you run into? Any?
Quite a few, actually. I'm actually staying with some black people. They're my friends Sarah and Barry. Sarah, a local Pittsburgher, was so gracious to host me and my wife. So we're having a good time with them. But we bump into a few black people. They out and about here in Ireland. But it's been a cool scene, man. Like we were bouncing around proper Dublin, and seeing something. We went to the Steelers bar, the Temple bar. What I didn't realize is they said, "Oh, it's the Fitzsimmons Temple bar," and I was like, "Oh, there's probably just one Temple bar. There's like 2,000 Temple bars."
Oh, wow.
And so you had to actually find the right one, which is the Fitzsimmons one. But it's been really cool. We got a chance to. I did the whole Guinness storehouse experience. Got to pour a perfect glass of Guinness. In the academy there, I got to experience that with some of our friends in the sports media department, Brooke Pryor, Jenna Harner, Mike DeFabo. So it's been a good time. We got to do that and bounce around, and today we're looking to see more of the scenic things today.
What's your vibe around the actual game? We've got the vibe of the atmosphere and the people, but the actual game, and me personally, I'm so different from Monday to Thursday to Friday to Saturday and even game day. I change so much. I go up and down of how I'm feeling. How are you feeling right now of the Steelers' chances of winning this football game against the Vikings on Sunday?
I think it's a bit 50-50 right now, particularly because the Vikings are experienced in the trenches the way that the Steelers want to be experienced in the trenches in a few years. You look at Brian O'Neill. You look at Christian Darrisaw. You even look on the defensive side. You see Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. They have guys that are seasoned in the trenches, and that's a big part of why they win. Plus, they have really good playmakers. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison's back this week. Jordan Mason, you saw what he did last week. T.J. Hawkinson, you know how dangerous of a tight end he is. And the thing that I think the Steelers can hang their hat on if they do it well is if they can turn around their third down defense. They're ranked right now 29th in the NFL in third down defense and allowing teams to convert. But the Vikings offense ranks 28th in third down offense. If they're able to basically get the Vikings, and they were pretty bad on third down last week against the Bengals. The Bengals defense is the one defense you should be just getting all over the place. But I think that's where if the Steelers defense can turn that around this week, get their third down defense together, that could be the key that helps them control the pace of this game. And if they get a couple turnovers and they limit the big play opportunities for the Vikings playmakers, they can keep this game in their control.
I've been talking to Jason Mackey earlier. I asked him about Deshaun Elliott and his chances and his feeling around him playing on Sunday. He doesn't have a good feeling about it. He doesn't think that it's necessary for him to play, and he basically said that he believes he's not going to play. What's your feeling around Deshaun Elliott playing? And if he does, do you think that fixes the communication issues that have been hampering on the Steelers defense?
I'm not sure if it fixes it right away. I think part of what people need to understand with the Steelers' quote-unquote communication issues right now is that this is a different defense. And I talked about that earlier this week on Locked On Steelers, but this defense is blitzing from so many new angles. They're sending heat in so many different ways. They're moving T.J. Watt around. They're doing this to try to free up T.J. Watt. And in doing that, they have to properly mix the right coverages with those blitzes in the ways that work with the veterans that they've added to the roster. There's certain ways that Darius Slay or Jalen Ramsey are used to covering in situations that they're like, hey, in this situation, we need you to cover this way. So there's been a lot of trial and error so far. And I think that's been the quote-unquote communication issue. So having one guy back won't just fix the problem. It's more so about they need to continue to try the things that are going to make them tighter on defense, because now you're starting to see that their pass rush is getting home. They had 5 sacks last week. If they can keep up that pass rush, get after the Carson Wentz this week, and Carson Wentz against the blitz didn't look too great when they actually got pressure on him. I think that could be their ticket to sort of figuring out some of their communication issues. But they have to take away the initial reads on the back end, because I think that's what happened against the Seahawks a lot. Was Sam Darnold would get pressure, but some guy would kind of back off his man a little bit because he thought he was supposed to play off coverage, and that allowed him a quick exit. Or, one guy played trail technique instead of just playing straight up man, where he takes away the inside leverage, and that allowed a guy to get open real quick. And so I think that's the chemistry that they're still figuring out right now, and that's where the quote-unquote communication things are going to happen. I don't know if Deshaun Elliott will play. I think that we'll see later today if he practices in full in Ireland, then that'll be a good sign if he's limited. I would expect them to probably sit him out because he's a really good player, and they know once he's healthy, he's going to be a big-time contributor. So him and Joey Porter Jr., let's just see how they practice today. And if they're full participants, expect them to be on the field. If they're not, maybe the Steelers say, hey, let's just get you right after the bye, and let's try to win with the guys that we've been working with the last three weeks.
Chris, what's up, man? Bostic, a little bit better late than never,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Better late than never. It's foggy out there.
It is.
It is
It's
foggy
dangerous.
out there this morning. It took an extra 8 minutes to get here. Vikings giving up $130 a game on the ground. How many touches did Jaylen Warren get in this game?
Touches or rushes?
How about both? Rushes and then total touches.
Let's go 16 rushes, 21 touches.
I think that's where he has to be.
Yep.
I think that's where he has to be.
I think they're still going to work the ball Kenneth Gainwell at times because of his ability to kind of use his speed and work in space. But this would be a good week to get Jaylen Warren going. They brought up the Vikings defense. I think that's a good thing. I also think the key this week might be getting the tight ends involved.
I was just about to ask you about that.
They are small. They're good. They're talented. I like a lot of the guys in their secondary. But this would be a week for, especially when you start to get on the plus side territory and you're getting closer to the red zone. Man, put Darnell Washington up against Isaiah Rodgers. I know that Isaiah Rodgers had the perfect PFF grade last week. And listen, he was a monster. He had two touchdowns on the defensive side, 3 forced turnovers. But ask him to do that to 6'7" Darnell Washington. Ask Pat Freiermuth to go up against some of their other guys. Put DK Metcalf. They don't have a corner that can stick DK Metcalf. I think physically, I think they can run with him. But use your size to your advantage. I think that's the key for the offense this week against the Vikings.
So the low production of the tight ends, and whenever you're doing your analysis, you're breaking down the film. What are you seeing of the reason for the low production? Is it that they're not getting open? Is it they're not getting into the proper routes? Is it because they have to stay in and chip block and help the offensive line? What is it? Or is it they're just not running out 13 personnel or 12 personnel as much as we thought that they were? Why do you think the production's so low for that group, a group that we thought was going to have high production in the beginning of the year?
Oh, no, I think they're running plenty of 12 and 13 personnel. They're definitely putting them out there. But they are chip blocking a lot. They are doing that. I think part of it is just because of what the Steelers are trying to do right now with passing the ball. They recognize that the offensive line's still young, still figuring it out. Like Troy Fautanu, who I think will end up being very good. He honestly has been on more of the struggle bus the last couple games than Broderick Jones. And I think when they're looking at that, they're saying, hey, let's not get Aaron killed. Let's call play action, hit Jaylen out of the backfield. Let's do a quick slant. Let's do a pop pass. And those things aren't, going to lend itself to more tight end passes. But I think as the offensive line goes, if they can improve, that's when you'll see the tight ends get more of a chance to kind of run a seam right up the middle. And if there's a zone, Aaron Rodgers hits them behind it and they attack there. But I think it's been more circumstantial. I think the tight ends, they absolutely want to get involved. And they tried, Pat Freiermuth, he was kind of working on a scramble drill, and Aaron Rodgers needed him to sit in space rather than run to a defender. And I think he just did the wrong thing in that moment. And those things that happen, they'll clean those things up, I think. But I think that's been the key right now, is it's more circumstantial to all the other things they're trying to do in the offense that haven't allowed them to really expand upon the tight end usage so far. But I do think that'll change probably in a couple weeks or so.
Chris, you guys have asked a lot about Cole Holcomb and the linebacker balance. What's your evaluation of that position right now and kind of the division of labor there?
I can see Cole Holcomb getting another start this week and getting more prominent because they need to stop Jordan Mason. They cannot allow this Vikings offense to run the ball. They got to make Carson Wentz be one-dimensional. And because Carson Wentz, he may be Carson Wentz and he may not be, a superstar quarterback like he was in his prime day was with the Eagles. but he has some playmakers, man. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. You cannot be in a guessing game with those guys. So I think they put an emphasis to stop them. So Cole Holcomb, that's where he's good there. Peyton Wilson, I think, is still figuring out all the extra things. Like, we talked to him about the second touchdown that they allowed to the Patriots, right? And he pointed out that, like, yeah, we were trying to show that we were in zone, but we were really in man. And then when we dropped back, there was some misunderstandings about what we were supposed to actually be in. And basically, I think he was supposed to run with the tight end, and he thought he was supposed to play a specific spot instead of playing that guy. And so those are the type of things that, like, they're more aggressive with their disguises this year behind those blitzes, because they were trying to send heat, but they're also trying to show one coverage while actually being in another coverage. And those are the things that sometimes guys mix up, but they need to clear that up. So I think that those guys will rotate a bit today. Cole Holcomb on the early downs, Peyton Wilson maybe on the later downs, if it's like third and long. But I also think Patrick Queen, I know a lot of people in Pittsburgh tweet about how mad they are at him for this, that, and the third. I think he's actually been doing as much as he can to hold the defense together in the middle. He gets in the backfield. The only time you see him not really being involved is when linemen are climbing up to him and hitting him within the first 2 seconds of the play. And that's not his expertise. You don't want Patrick Queen getting hit by centers and guards right away. You want him clean. You want him, scouring. You want him looking through the play and attacking downhill. And when he does that, he's been dangerous. And so, he's had tackles for losses. He's led the team in tackles, a few times this year. And I think that that's where you'll see him be. So I think Patrick Queen, as long as he's kept clean this week, will be fine. But Peyton Wilson, can he be better on passing downs? Cole Holcomb, can he lead the charge on rundowns? I think that'll be how the linebacker rotation goes.
Chris, you're the man. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good time in Ireland.
Thanks, fellas.
We'll see you.
Thanks, Chris.
There he goes, Chris Carter of the Post-Gazette. He is the man.